Hey, what's up? Wow, gosh, I see a lot of comments already. Um, that's fun. Hey, everyone. So, hey, buddy, you want to say hi? We got a special guest today that I'm not allowed, according to the doctor, to lift up. But do you want to say hi?
Hi.
Hi. Say hi. I don't know whether to call my hair COVID hair. It's not really because everything's open here, or just call it post-surgery hair. But I haven't looked in a mirror all day, and I realized, and I've also been lying like face down on the floor for the last half hour, and I get my hair like, whoa, that's weird. So anyway, I have post surgery hair. So welcome guys to this live lesson. So tell me if this sounds familiar to you.
No, we just
It
lose
does
Matt
not
audio.
sound familiar to me.
Huh.
Hey, there you are. You're back.
All right, so we're good. Okay, cool. So tell me if this sounds familiar. You read a book, you take a course, you go to a live lesson, maybe like this. You go to a live event.
Hey. No. Don't say
oh, so here, real quick, the reason why I have a special guest, I guess I should, and then I'll finish what I was saying there, is our daughter decided about an hour and a half ago to have to go to the hospital and get stitches in her head. Yeah.
Ooh.
So she had a little clumsy accident. She fell and hit her head on the corner of her dresser, like
Ouch.
sharp corner. And
Tell her I hope
then,
she's better.
yeah. So you know what they say, between my surgery and a global pandemic and a few other things. You know what they say? Bad things happen in eights.
At least you're hoping that's all right.
Yeah, gosh. So anyway, if you're like me, you go to one of these things, you take a course, you go through a book, you go to a live event, you come to something like this, you're like, wow, that was awesome, right? That was like, I'll learn a ton. I'll take a ton of notes. Here's one of my notebooks from a live event, actually, that I brought just to kind of use later as I show you. You take these notes and then nothing, like nothing, no results, nothing to show for it. And that's a problem, of course, because the issue is you're not implementing what you learn. And so it's time to put it into that. That's what we're hoping to share with you on this lesson today, is how to implement what you learn. Because I think you would all agree, especially in 2020, there's no shortage of information out there. All right. But a successful business is not built on information alone. Like we sell, I'm told, we're in the info products business. We sell information. I remember a guy once I asked him, why hadn't you bought our course?
Stop
You
uploading.
And he said, because that's a lot of money to pay for information. I'm like, well, you're right. It is a lot of money to pay for information unless
Tablet?
you actually implement that information, put it to use, and it can be worth millions of dollars. I would dare say that there are courses I bought that, because we implemented them, have been worth hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. But like I said, a business is not built on information alone. It's built on implementation. Hey, bud, do you want to get down here and lie down?
No.
You want to be up here because you're on camera?
Just like his dad.
I can hear mommy. I think they're back from the hospital. So there's this Colleen Barrett. She was, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Southwest Airlines story, but she was Herb Kelleher's. You guys back? Cool. You ready to go with mommy?
No.
Yeah. Oh, you gotta go with mommy. Say bye.
Bye, Giovanni.
Say bye to Robbie and Mark and everyone else. So Colleen Barrett was Herb Kelleher. He was the guy, one of the founders of Southwest Airlines. And she had this quote that kind of summed up the information action paradox. She said, when it comes to getting things done, we need fewer architects and more bricklayers. In other words, we need less planning, more action, more doing. But of course, you need the information to actually do the right things. Like I could say, hey, go build a website. And if you don't know how to build a website and you're just like randomly, like, I don't know, like, if I say go build a website and you actually go grab a toolbox, not really, like, you need the information, right? And that's the paradox. So how can you have the best of both worlds? How can you have the learning and the doing? Well, that's what this lesson is all about. So if you are ready to be less of an architect and start actually building your business brick by brick, this lesson is for you. So if you're ready to be the architect or ready to be the bricklayer, sorry, I mentioned that I would feel better when the medication kicked in. I'm not sure if I'm going to be as lucid as I am right now, so we'll see. Maybe it just kicked in. If you're ready to be the bricklayer, start building your business, just type in bricklayer in the comments and let us know that that's what you're ready for. So, guys, no longer have the special guest. No longer have the very special. I got two like I don't know
guests.
special guests. I got two guests.
Two guys that are on.
Yeah.
Not sure
Anyway, guys, say hi to Robbie and Mark.
Mark
Saying Robbie say hi to
he
everyone.
really is cute. Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah. So I see let's just say hi to a couple people. Nelly, Steven says, I want your book notes. I'll tell you guys about that. If you see these comments that say, I want your book notes and you don't know what that means, I'll explain that here in just a moment. I want to say hi to Stacy and Jacob, Ian, Ali, Tim, Barbara, JT. What's up, buddy? Gwen. Hey, Gwen. So, hey, welcome, guys. So before we get into the implementation part, there's just a few things we need to cover first. I want to first talk about our process for learning. This is something that, we talk about, like, you got the information, now you got to implement it. That's what we're going to focus on today. But the kind of the pre-part, the learning part, it's pretty important. Like, if you don't learn the right way, if you don't take the right notes, you don't actually go through this process before you implement the right way, I think it kind of sets you up for failure. And so one of the best ways that we have found to learn is to learn together, to learn with others, to learn as a team. You say, I don't have a team. I'm a solopreneur. That's fine. Go find two other people. Most courses, if we're talking about a course, they have a Facebook group. Ask in the Facebook group, would anybody be willing to meet Tuesday and Thursday afternoons to take the course together? If you're reading a book, start a book club. How I got into this world, hey, Lena, was actually through a book club. A friend of mine and I, Hunter Ingram, we decided that every month we were going to read a different book. And I remember that's how we read Influence. We read, we read The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. We read
Pius book.
Yeah, so I was getting to that.
Sorry.
That was the last one. I'm trying to think what were some of the other books we read back then. I know we read The E-Myth together. And then one day we read this book called Platform. And actually, we read Platform because I remember I was in Dallas Airport on the tram that takes you between, I don't know if they're called concourses or terminals there. And I was listening to the Andy Andrews podcast, which I was listening to the Andy Andrews podcast because one of the books we read in our book club was an Andy Andrews book. And that made me a fan of Andy Andrews. And so this is the power. It's just two people deciding to learn together. And I try to keep up with your comments, and it's just cracking me up. And so I'm listening to Andy Andrews, and he has this guy on named Michael Hyatt. Never heard of Michael Hyatt in my life. And he's talking about this book called Platform. And I'm like, so I text Hunter and I'm like, dude, I think I know our next book. What do you think? And he's like, I'm in. So we read this book. A couple months later, I start a blog, mattmcwilliams.com. That was in 2011. Here we are today. So it's like those type of things, that mode of learning where you're learning with somebody can completely transform your life.
That's also the reason, it's probably the reason that you and I started working together down the line.
It absolutely is.
Because you starting the blog was the next level of you and I interacting. So
it absolutely was. I mean, it's created a business, a lifestyle, friends. I see people on here.
Everybody who's here today.
Yeah. I see people on here who aren't just like customers. They're not just clients. They're not just subscribers. I see people on here who are friends.
Piggyback friends even.
Yeah. I hope I'll be doing that anytime soon. But yeah, if you have a team, go through it with your team. Read the book together as a team. Form a book club as a company. Going back, that was not the first book club I was in with Hunter. We started a book club, our executive team, at a company that he and I ran back in the 2000s. Our executive team, we did a monthly or every other month, maybe, book club. So we go through like 6 to 12 books a year. You can do those type of things. You can do it with courses. You know, you can do it with live events. You know, literally, if okay, if you go to a live event with somebody and you know them, whether it be virtual or not, you know, or in person down the road, doesn't matter. Let's say you go to a live event and literally don't know a person. Here's what you do, and I get this is tough for some of the introverts. Is like at the very beginning or in one of the breaks, you walk up to somebody when we're back to doing handshakes. You know, you shake their hand, and I'm gonna use JT here. You go, "Hi, my name is Matt," and you say, "My name is JT." You talk about. I see you're from. Maybe you find somebody you have something in common with. You know, like I don't know. You see they're from a city that you went to once. You know that you like to vacation in. You passed through. I mean, this is one of those skills that you have to develop over time, where it's like you find something. It could be like, you know, oh yeah, I read an article in Newsweek 5 years ago about, you know, Podunk, North Dakota. You're from there, you know, like, oh, well, that's cool. You guys are known for fracking, you know, or whatever. I don't know. It's better than being known for something else, I guess. But anyway, so you find something, you go, hey, listen, I would love if maybe during the breaks, you and I could get together, or maybe just at lunch each day. And at the end of each day, you and I could get together and just talk through our notes for like 15 or 20 minutes and maybe share some of our biggest takeaways. What do you think? Because and explain to them that that's, you know, how you learn. So it doesn't matter. There are no excuses for not learning with other people. Secondly, I want to share how to take notes from anything, really. This could be courses, live events, something like this. The first is take time to think. If I say something today, we'll just use today as an example. If I say something today and it causes you to go down a rabbit trail mentally, in a course, that means pressing pause. In a live interview, it means you're going to have to tune me out. There'll be a recording. You can go back and watch it. If you're at a live event, most of the time they'll provide you with a recording. You might have to pay, you know, $100 or something, but you can get a recording of something. And if you are like, don't be worried about writing down exactly what they say. Don't be worried about the quotes, you know, getting word for word. A lot of times what I'll do, if I catch the first 3 words of the quote and who said it, like here's a quote from a guy named Marcus Whitney. And what I wrote was the very first, I wrote 3 words - Marcus Whitney. And then I wrote Google. I can Google the quote later. I don't need, what was that quote? Was it, did he say awesome or amazing? I don't remember. Oh no, I've screwed, my whole life is coming to an end. Like, no, don't worry about that. You can Google the quote later. You know, literally, you type the name of the person, the word quote, and 3 words from it, it'll pop up. You know, it's pretty amazing. And so press pause if you need to. Think. I would rather you watch, this is what we found about people who succeed with our courses. I would rather you watch 4 minutes of the video and go, ooh, that's good, and go down a rabbit trail and then implement and not even finish the video for 2 weeks because you're implementing what you learned, and then come back and watch the rest of the video. You're not going to offend me at all. Like, I love it when students say, it took me 9 months to go through your course. Why did it take you 9 months? Because I know people who've been through our courses in 3 weeks and took great notes. Why did it take you 9 months? Because I was implementing. I'd rather you take you 9 months and you make $50,000 than you go through it in 3 weeks, and over the course of the next 9 months, you make nothing.
Well,
and then thirdly, go ahead, Mark.
I was just going to say, I think with that too, I mean, I think sometimes I sit in conferences and stuff. Well, I used to back when you could actually do that. And, you know, you see people that are taking screenshots and taking pictures and those types of things. And I think sometimes people just want to do that because they feel like that's what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And they feel like being busy is the most important thing. And, you know, I know there's been time, like some of the best things that I've learned from conferences was literally not said by one person there. It's something that they said, which sparked an idea. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never thought about that. And then, like you said, I'd zone out for 5 minutes taking notes, like writing down my thoughts so I don't forget them. And I've found, you know, every single time the ideas that I get from what I heard or because of what I heard are a million times more valuable than anything I heard there. So even if you don't get a recording of it, it's going to be more valuable because it's the thing that came from your mind and your experiences that can apply in your situation. And that's always more valuable.
I love that, man. So third tip on taking notes, leave lots of margin and space for adding notes later when you go back to review, because we're going to talk about the review process. So I'm actually looking, one of the things that I do is I don't write on the back of pages. I leave that intentionally blank, but I don't know if you can see. I can tell. It probably won't show up on this camera, especially with the lighting. But I wrote a note here, and then I wrote here. This was all blank. I can tell because the ink's different. This I came back in at some point later and wrote more, notes there. And so when I write my notes like live, meaning if whether I'm just I'm writing them from a book, maybe it doesn't matter, but when I'm doing it in the process of doing it live, I will write a few lines of notes and then leave some blank space, then skip down. And so there's many times I'll go back and I won't add anything, and you go, well, gosh, I wasted a whole lot of paper, didn't I? Well, yeah, but I think we can afford that. It's pretty cheap these days. So just if you're going to implement, you need to review. So leave that space. And then third tip on learning, I want to share a little tip I got from Rich Schefren. Rich, if you don't know him, I mean, he's one of the OGs. He was like the original. There's a fly in my office or studio.
That's the worst.
Rich is like, Rich would agree to this. Rich is a savant. Rich is probably the smartest marketer I've ever been around. Like it's just crazy, like how intelligent he is. And he has this area, it's behind his pool at his house down in Delray Beach, Florida, called the Vault. And he has these binders. I wish I had an example, but it's similar to something like this here, but it's instead of being spiral bound like the Ultimate Affiliate Swipe File, which you can find at affiliateswipefiles.com, by the way. Product placement there, guys. That was great. But you'll have like these books like this, but it'll be side bound and it'll say on there the name of the course or the name of the book. And it's all his notes from those books. And so what he does, and I started doing this, is I take pictures of my highlights. I send them to my VA. My VA puts them into a doc, into a Google Doc. That doc is now hundreds of pages long. And when I want to read about copywriting, I can just go to my notes about copywriting. When I want to read about, whatever, I want to read about funnels, I can go to my notes about funnels, and I can go for a walk, go for a run, whatever. And in 20 to 30 minutes, basically read all my highlights and kind of get like refreshers on stuff. So that's a lesson I learned from Rich Schefren. And so speaking of book notes, if you want my personal book notes from the 3 best business books that I've read this year, I don't think any of them were actually written this year, for the record. I'm pretty sure they weren't. But if you want my personal notes, basically the notes you're going to get they're either highlights from the book that I sent to my VA, or they're things that I wrote down. They're my summations of what I read. These are actionable tips. They're not just theory. My top notes. Just say, like many of you have, and I see a bunch of these comments, say, I want your book notes in the comments. And
I'll say you should probably type it.
Yeah.
If you just say it, it probably won't work.
Say it. Just talk to Facebook. But if you say, I want your book notes, then we'll send you my personal notes from my top 3 business books that I've read in 2020 so far.
No opt-in or anything. Just
what's that? Yeah, no opt-in
or anything.
Get straight to a PDF. Also, one of the services that we use, you guys have been hearing about this week probably, is called Read It For Me. I know Robbie and I both use it. Mark, have you used it at all?
I got it last night.
Did you really? Cool.
Nice.
How much did you pay?
I used your affiliate link, Matt.
Yeah, and how much did you pay? Like seriously,
$99.
Yeah, $99
lifetime.
A lifetime. Did you really get it last night?
Yeah, I did.
That's all. Man, that's like
It's
the
worth
unintentional
it.
setup there.
I got an email from
every
you. I
penny.
actually opened it. I actually read it.
I really didn't know that.
Yeah, I did.
So it's $99 for a lifetime. And so let me just show you guys. There's an app here that I use. It's also on the web. If you go to mattmcwilliams.com and Mark or Robbie will drop the link there, mattmcwilliams.com/read it. You can go there. There are about almost 400 books now. By the end of this year, there will be 400 books because there's a new book added every week. There are books about team building, marketing, personal growth. I'm just going to flip through. I mean, go through maybe like 20 or 20 of these, 20 or 20 of them. Leadership and Self-Deception, probably one of my, I actually read the full book on that one. And when I read the highlights, it was spot on. Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. That's an old one. 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson. Confessions of the Pricing Man. That's a book about advertising. How to Win Friends and Influence People. Unlimited Power by Tony Robbins. Rising Strong by Jay Brown.
There's almost 400 of these. Like my biggest problem using this app is I'll get in here and be like,
which one?
What do I want to read today?
I'm going in chronological order from when they added them.
Oh, really?
And I'm basically, what I do is I alternate between bottom and top. So eventually I'm going to meet in the middle.
Nice.
But then I get a new book every week, you know? And
There's a Tetris on there somewhere.
What is that?
You start walking your way and I'll start walking mine.
Start walking
in the middle.
Who sang that? Joe Diffie?
No, it's
that's for sure.
I think it's Confederate Railroad, actually.
Wow. Anyway, so Read It For Me is absolutely amazing. Again, he's got almost 400 books in there. And so Steve Cunningham, the founder of Read It For Me, has become a friend over the past few years. And I reached out to him one day and just said, hey, is there anything you could do for my audience? Like, and I'm thinking he's going to be like, yeah, well, you like an exclusive, like 20% discount. I just put it in Robbie's hands. And then Robbie says, I was like, what did Steve offer? And he's like, get this. Lifetime membership for $99. So that's normally what you pay for a year. Plus, I haven't even mentioned this because I forgot about it.
Wait, there's more.
Yeah, this was the part that blew me away.
You get to give away 10 yearly memberships for free. You can give them away. So you can give them away to a family member, give them away to a friend, give them away on Facebook Lives, give them away on your podcast, on blog posts to your audience, on Facebook, whatever. You can give away 10 of these they're worth $100, $99, and you get to pick 10 people to give them to. So just go to mattmcwilliams.com/read it. We'll jump into how to implement what you're learning here in a sec. Make sure you go take advantage of this while you can, because this offer is absolutely unbelievable. And it goes away tomorrow. Like when Steve did this, I was like, yeah, we need to have a deadline. For one, you're going to not probably want to do this very long because it's like, I don't know how you're going to make any money on this, but whatever. Right. And two, nothing moves people like a deadline. We know that in affiliate marketing. So tomorrow at midnight goes away. All right. So
incidentally, I have 10 memberships that I'm selling for $49.95.
Yeah.
But those are only yearly memberships. So go through my link.
They only last for 1 year.
And you'll get a lifetime membership. Again, just to be clear, like lifetime means every week that he comes out with 52 new books a year. You just go look at like the top 10 business books of every year for the past 10 years. They're all on there. Like every one of those books is on there.
Dude, I added I favorited 45 last night.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I favorite them when I finish them, actually.
So I do the same.
I know that I've wait, did I read that? Let me go. Yep, I did, and it'll show that I read that one.
Unfavored all of them. Thanks, man.
I've never because again, you can read, basically it's like reading an entire book in like 15 minutes. There's an audio version as well. So some of the books, like what was the one I did the other day? It was The Team of Teams by Stanley McChrystal. I think I was telling you, Robbie, on the podcast this week. I was like, I don't know that I really am going to dig this book. He's a military guy. I'm like, I'm not sure how much I'm going to learn for my business. So what I started doing on books from is I listen to it while I'm walking or running or doing whatever. I listen to it. And then I'm like, if anything strikes me, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I need to go back and read that one. But there was one book, and this has only happened once, and I think I've done I'm at 175 or 80 or something by now. There was one book where I listened to. Oh, I remember what it was. It was what was the name of that book? It was something about. It was a lady wrote a book about happiness or something, and I was like, I'll listen to it. And I listened
to talking about magic of tidying up.
No, but that one too.
Oh.
Actually, I actually got a couple things out of that that were worth 10 minutes of my time. But there was this book, and I listened to it, and I got nothing out of it, and so I never read it. I just listened to it. So it's got an audio version, a written version. It's an absolutely amazing service, and you get $98 for the whole year. So, what you guys came for today? How do I implement what I learn? I want to share 7 steps to implement what you learn. These are the 7 steps that I go through, and they've kind of been developed over the course of 15 years, because I used to suck at this. I am not the world's best at it, to be honest, but I'm getting there. I'm a work in progress. I'm going to share what's working that's made me 90% better. There's a book, and read it for me, called 10% Happier. This will make you 90% better, which is 9 times more than 10.
Not that we're keeping score.
Yeah, not that I'm counting or anything. Speaking of, I need to move that there. Okay. So, number 1, give yourself some time and space after taking the notes. I mentioned this earlier, that when I talked about the review process, you want to review it in a different setting, even like a different environment. Everything, when I'm listening to a speech, and I'm looking like this, these are just notes that I took at a single conference, and when was at this conference? I mean, I don't know, guys, that's roughly 90 pages of notes that I took at this conference. We're going to implement, or we either have or will implement about what would fit on 2 pages if I wrote single spaced. Now, granted, there's a lot of spacing and stuff, but still, we're talking 3%. It was LaunchCon 2019. That's my LaunchCon 2019 book. We're going to implement maybe 3-4% tops, because a lot of the stuff that I wrote down either wasn't actionable, in the sense of, like, here's one. I wrote a note, and it says, you just find this, we want people who take ownership. All right. What am I supposed to do with that information? Hire people who take ownership. Yeah. I mean, that's one way to move that. It's more of a reminder, it's like, okay, it's not an actionable thing. Right. And so the other thing is, like, there are notes that I'll write in that environment, and I'm going, yeah. I'm like, woo, this is so good. And then I in a different environment, 2-3 weeks later, it doesn't seem as good. So give yourself at least a week, sometimes 2 or 3 weeks, create a rhythm. And so you're going to, you're attending this on September 3rd. You're going to take notes. Set a calendar reminder for, let's say, September 22nd from 3 to 4 p.m. to review your notes from this lesson. Do it in a different place even. Review your notes on the front porch instead of the back porch where you're watching it. If you're in your office right now, go to your living room and review the notes there. Review them at a different time of day. Maybe review them in the morning or at night or something. Just give yourself some sort of a difference and create that rhythm. So give yourself the time and the space after taking the notes. Secondly, identify what notes actually qualify as action items. I'm going to see if I can find one in here. Probably could have dog-eared these pages first, but here we go.
While you're looking for that, one of the things I just have a 3x5 note card box. It's just a box, and I just put each idea or action gets a note card. And I go through. Do you write
your notes on that, like at a conference?
No. What I'll do is I'll process my conference notes, and you say identify what is an action item. Those all get put on these cards, and then I go through, and some days I'll look at 1, some day I'll look at 2, but it's just a way for me to review, and then it's a way to go back to notes that are much longer term. I don't want to have a calendar reminder every time, like, oh, hey, go review this thing. I want to be able to just pull the next card from the deck and say, what was this idea? And then I can, see where I'm at with that.
Yeah, and we'll talk about this later, Robbie. You can use, your task manager, Asana, something. It's just about making sure you don't forget to review, because the biggest reason why people don't implement what they learn is, I found one the other day. This is before I started using this system. So this one here, got this. I found this the other day, little notebook. That's actually my notes from a course that I went through in 2014 that I never did a daggum thing with.
Mm-hmm.
And almost everything in there, it's like, get on Periscope. It's all stuff that's like totally irrelevant. Like, start doing live videos. I mean, actually, I have implemented a lot of the notes from that, just not intentionally. And so what I do is I go through with a different color. You can see there I've got some stuff in turquoise. And that was the color I happened to use for this one. And so I just marked the things that could actually be, action items. So step 2 here is identify what notes actually qualify as action items. A lot of these things aren't action items. They're just nice ideas. They're nice reminders, but there's not an action item specifically associated with. Step 3, and you could say kind of these are steps 2A and 2B, or not to be. That's the question. Step 3 is identify which of those action items you can do, which of them you can't, and which are maybe for the future. So for instance, I might go through and it says, I need to build a team of 25 people, and you currently have 2 people, you and an assistant. Okay, well, that's a terrible action item to put on there right now. Your action item is hire a 3rd person. So it's not that you can't hire 25 people, it's just it's impractical right now. So that's something that you're going to do over time. Or you need to hire, this, like you need to get a Facebook ads expert on your team, for example, or you need to hire whatever, or you need to build a studio, for your videos. And it's like, okay, well, and they showed you how to build the ultimate studio, and you took those notes, but it's a $5,000 studio and your budget is $600 right now. So what you have to do is say, okay, what can I do right now? What can I not do? I'm going to keep this, whether, maybe it could be in Robbie's, file thing, or for me, it would just be in a Google Doc that I could go to in a year and go, okay, I remember learning how to build a studio. I took notes on it. It's in this Google Doc. Let me just type in, Command F video, and there it is. I found my notes. Okay, so because I've got, I remember I think it cost like $5,000. He's like, oh man, I've got the money now, so I could build that studio. So just identify, like, what you're doing here is reducing action items down to, or reducing these action items down to a small list of things you can actually execute on in a relatively short period of time. Especially in the, we're talking about online marketing. So much of what I mentioned, Periscope, and Gwen asked, does Periscope still exist? I think it actually does.
It does.
It does.
Actually,
I watched some.
Follow a few people on there.
Okay, I don't have the app or anything.
Only
but there
place
was, I saw a Periscope video embedded on a news item the other day, and I actually watched. So I technically have watched a Periscope video in 2020. It's the first time in like 5 years that I've watched a Periscope video. But like a lot of the notes you're going to make, they're not even going to be relevant in 6 months. The landscape is changing, and so we want these to be things that you can execute on in a relatively short period of time for purposes of this. Because again, the key is not to necessarily implement everything that you learn. It's to implement more than nothing, to implement as much as you can. It's, the 80-20, right? Then step 4, you've got your action items. Learn anything else you need to learn about the topic. So if it's something that needs more research, let's go back to the building of the studio. You took notes and it talks about this amazing studio. It's the $5,000 option, but you're like, I can't do that, but I do want to build a studio. How do I do it for $500? So you start going to learn how to build a studio on a budget. You go look for, and I would recommend if you go to our toolbox page, if you're looking for lighting, great lighting kit that we have, that I'm using 2 of the lights right now. The other 2 lights that I'm actually not using, surprisingly, cost 4 times more than the 2 that I am using. The ones that I'm using cost maybe $150 total, not with the light. I had to buy the lights separate. The lights they send in the cheap kit are actually kind of crappy. So I don't know, $210 total with the lights. The lights are about $30 each. Great stuff. Came with some green screens that I use occasionally. I got a green screen, a black screen, a white screen, a blue screen, a bag. I mean, all kinds of stuff. I got all those recommendations on our toolbox page, but I'm saying, if you're trying to learn how to do that, then you go do more research. If you say, okay, I've got an idea. This thing taught me how to set up my ad, and it taught me how to, do this, this, and this, but it didn't teach me about targeting. So I need to go do some research about ad targeting. That's, so you do a little bit more research. The keys here, focus on one topic at a time. You want this to be very focused learning. This is basically, you need to know what are the gaps that you don't have filled that you need to fill right now. This is not, I want to go learn more about building the ultimate studio, to use that as an example. It's, you want to be focused 100% on how do I build this thing for $500 or whatever I said the budget. I think I said 600, for $600. That's what you want to be 100% focused on. So just to recap real quick, first 4 steps, give yourself time and space after taking the notes. Number 2, identify which of those notes qualify as action items. Number 3, identify which of those you can and which you can't do, and which maybe they're for the future. If one of those action items is, I don't even know. It's like run a marathon. I ain't going to do that. Let's cut that in half. They have those, half marathon. And then 4, learn anything else you need to learn about the topic. So you guys with us so far? Let me know. Let me know there if you guys are with me so far or have any questions. If you guys have any questions, remember you can type those in and I'm going to answer them. So that's what we do with questions. Do a little Q&A time.
If you have any questions, you can type them in, but we're not going to do anything with them.
Also, just quick reminder, if you type, I want your book notes, I'm going to send you my personal notes from the top 3 business books that I've read this year. I think these notes are pretty stinking good. We're actually applying some of these and they're pretty awesome. So, all right, step number 5, establish an action plan. So this is where you're going to break it down to a task level. So we've got, our notes here and the notes, let's see, we'll just find an example. Okay. So the action item is to set up an evergreen funnel. Oh, we actually just did this recently. Okay, cool. To set up an evergreen funnel for one of our opt-ins. So we'll do, in this example, we'll use the first 100 affiliates report. So setting up a funnel from scratch is, you guys did it. Mark, Robbie, how many tasks, individual tasks were in that project? I'm going to guess. I'm going to write down a number, and I want you guys to then, let me write down my number first, because I want to see how.
I don't think my index card box is big enough.
Higher.
Okay.
Keep going.
Higher.
Ballpark.
A lot.
Hundreds.
I don't even know. Yeah, I would say hundreds.
You really? Okay, I'm way off then. I wrote 62.
I'm pretty sure it's higher than that.
Okay, so hundreds of individual tasks. This is where, and you look at this, building an evergreen funnel, and then there's, traffic to the evergreen funnel. There's all this, it's like, what are all of those individual steps? And you start just thinking through. It's, here's where I want to get. What steps do I need to get there? This process is usually a multi-day process because inevitably you're going to think of something while you're walking or showering or shaving. And you're eventually going to refine this process and get it pretty nailed down. But Robbie, this is your forte, so I'll let you chime in here. But ultimately, again, it's just breaking it down to an individual task level. And you can get as granular as you want. Like it could be like set up sales page could be a task, but it also could be gather images for sales page, write copy for sales page.
That's what I'm going to recommend.
Video for sales page.
And notice what you're doing there. And I want to give the productivity hacks here. Like,
no, those are in the podcast episode from Tuesday. And we'll link to that in the comments there in just a second. Mark can grab that maybe.
Think about this. Most people you said set up sales page. That is a project. That's why I said it's not 62. You have several hundred tasks, because as Mark and I were going back and forth, it was, please send me these images. We need to create this specific copy. We need these forms created for the email to work. And so when you were mentioning this, right, what did you do? You said, gather this thing. All of those things you said were verbs. A verb, it's something you can do. It is a literal action that you can take, and that's
I
what
like
you
that.
need to focus on. Is you don't need to break it down to, research this thing on this web page, on this day at this time. Like, you can get too granular.
Yeah.
And that
You probably won't. Most people don't.
No, most people are
I know
too,
I don't.
most people are either way too vague, and they think, plan a birthday party, or they think, add this many grains of, sugar to the frosting recipe. And it's like, you've got to be in between somewhere. Find that happy, the Goldilocks rule. Just right.
No, and I think that's just again, when you're doing this and you're like, thinking through again, what are the individual tasks? And you're creating this action plan. And the point is not to create the perfect action plan, because, the old saying, we've talked about this many times, Robbie, because I know you were in the military. It's like, the best plan in the world doesn't survive the first shot. As soon as there's gunfire in a battle, the plan just goes to total crap. But, I've found, it's the same beauty we talked about when we talked about how I write emails. I don't know, I think that was the last one we did before my surgery. And I talked about how when I come into writing an email from a creative standpoint, and I am very right-brained, I'm very, very right-brained. When I come into that and I have a theme, 3 bullet points, and I know what the call to action is going to be before I write it, that structure, to a creative, sometimes it feels like they're getting boxed in. I'm like, no, I can go anywhere I want in the box. And I know what the box is, and it's like, it frees me up. It's like, we talked about on the podcast Tuesday, the lyrics to the Trippin' Tyler song, you try getting something done when you can do anything. When you really can do anything, and you have limitless, or a limitless. I almost said unlimitless. That sounds like a George W. Bush is in there. You got unlimitless. I underestimated my unlimitedness. You've got limitless things you could possibly do. It's like, kind of like you talked about with Read It For Me, Mark. It was like, which one do I start with? So I actually use I'm like, I'm going to start at the top or the bottom, or how about both? That way I'm getting a mixture of I'm getting some How to Win Friends and Influence People, 1920s, followed by something that was written 3 weeks ago, Anyway, that's what you want to do there. You want to get these break it down to a task level. Derek has kind of a question there. He didn't really put a question mark on it, but says project versus task. I always get lost in the project. And don't always break it down into manageable tasks before it falls off the list. Okay, so I thought there was a question in there. There's not really. He's just making a statement. But
I think that the question there is, how do you keep track of all these things? And
you get a Robbie.
You just have to have some system for stuff that's coming in or going out. Think about it like the piles on your desk. Everybody's got them, right? You have the piles that are, here's the stuff I need to take care of now. And then you have the pile of, here's stuff I need to take care of at some point. You just need to regularly review that some point pile. As long as you're going through it somewhat regularly, then you're going to catch those tasks and things. Like that's the simplest project management. Like, you can get as detailed as you want in apps and all this stuff, but piles of paper, sometimes it's the easiest way to do things.
I have a question, Robbie. What do I do with the pile of, these are the things I should have taken care of yesterday?
You got the round bin
there
there,
psychology
right?
there too. I know when I make a list, like when we do one of those, and we're going to need to do one in about 2 weeks when I'm fully recovered. like one of those like epic cleaning days. I don't know how often you guys do those, but it's like the whole family gets involved. You don't see your kids all day because they spend the whole day cleaning their room. Is that just us? Like you've got
No, it's
okay.
No, I
every
see
week.
my kids all day
Every
because I'm
week.
helping them clean their room.
Yeah. But it's like an epic, like the whole house like you clean the stuff that you don't normally clean. Like you've like, I don't know about you guys, but like the little, like with the vacuuming along the edge, we only do that like once every 2 months. The stairs, they get vacuumed about once a month, and so it's one of those days where you're like vacuuming the stairs, vacuuming on the edge, like you're sanitizing stuff you don't even touch. It's one of those things, right? And when I make the list, it could say, like, let's say my responsibilities are clean kitchen, clean half bath, and clean, the basement, which is where my office, studio, the gym, and the art, the artsy fartsy areas we call it, is, that's where I could write clean. If I wrote clean basement and had to check, it takes me 4 hours to clean down here.
Right.
I even like clean. So the only thing I write, like I will write clean half bath. Cleaning the half bath upstairs takes about 20 minutes tops. Like if I clean it really well, 25. But I don't write clean kitchen. I write clean counters, clean stove, clean refrigerator, clean sink, mop
And you know what?
floor.
It feels good to go check.
It does. And
check,
that's the psychology behind this, Eric, is like when you say gather images might only take me 15 or 20 minutes. Like usually what I do, I have a folder on here that's got, different images, and Mark, might say, okay, I'm working on the sales page and I need an image of you pointing right. And okay, so maybe I just go, take new ones. Well, I'm not hiring a photographer to take 3 pictures. I mean, I've got a camera that, takes high res photos built into the phone these days. Right. And so I'll go over and go, take 4 or 5 of those, send them to Mark. It took 10 minutes, but I can go ding, check. We've done that, and there is a sense of accomplishment. If it's like the video, I don't put, breaking this down, it's not do sales page. It's not even just do video, because there's write the script for the video, record the video, edit the video. Those are 3. Upload the video. Now we don't put like send video to Mark. It would probably be like upload video and send to Mark. And so there's 4 a thumbnail for video. That would be a separate. That's 5 tasks just in record video. And so, but I feel accomplished when it's like I haven't done nothing because the video is not in Mark's hands. I've already written the script and recorded it. I've done 40% of the task. I've made progress. So there is definitely some psychology there. So establish that action plan, break it down to a task level, get as granular as you want to without being ridiculous, And then number 6, follow or focus on one thing at a time. One thing. So you've got 8 action items, right? You've got 8 action items. You're going to create a plan for each of those. I recommend only creating 1 action plan for each of those, maybe 2, because you've established a priority and you create an action plan, and there might be some areas where, some things overlap. I do like to look at a little bit of the big picture. For instance, if I know we're working on like 4 different funnels and we need pictures for all those funnels, I'll ask Mark to say, hey, I want to know all 4 funnels. Like, what do I need? If we need 4 videos, I don't want to write a script, then record, then edit. I want to write 4 scripts, go into, come into the studio and be like, video 1, boom, 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 boom. Video 2, boom, boom, boom. Like I'm done with all 4 and kind of batch it, but still, follow one course until success. That's an old John Lee Dumas. I'm sure he stole it from somebody, but follow one course until success. Like, especially if you're doing this part-time, you're doing this as a side hustle. We talked about this on Tuesday, Robbie, with the podcast, that like things that I can do when I have 8 or 9 hours to do something, I can batch record. If I wanted to in a single day, I could batch record 4 months worth of podcasts. When you're doing this as a side hustle, you can't.
Yeah.
No.
You're like writing the script on Monday, recording it on Tuesday, editing it on Wednesday, promoting it on Thursday. And that you just have to,
And there's nothing wrong with
you got
that.
limitations.
Well, I think too, Matt, I mean, it's really hard to do that, like to focus on one thing. I mean, as you were talking, I was thinking about this book that I don't know if you guys read this, but it's a great book.
I've got it. I just haven't had the
but
time to focus on reading it.
One of the things he says in there is when you're switching between tasks, that work takes up to 50% longer. And I find myself doing that. Like I'll go throughout the day, and like if you start noticing this throughout your day, you'll start working on something, and then all of a sudden you'll be doing something else. And I catch myself now. And it's like, oh wait, hold on, let me go finish this thing, and then I'll go on to the next thing. And I find when I do that, like you get so much more done. So like on a granular level and a higher level, like that's super valuable. And it's really like, I guarantee you, if you make the point to notice when you switch tasks, you'll be blown away. Like you will be blown away how often you find yourself doing something else. And I'm like, oh crap, I was supposed to be doing this. Let's go back to that.
Yeah. I mean, it's so true. Just like, I know that I've caught myself doing that now. And it's like, wait, no. Focus.
Yep.
One of the things that has helped me with focus, actually, that I don't know where I got this from. I listened to I don't know what it was. It's not like, it's almost like, it's kind of like rave music, but it's just like repetitive for like hours.
Yacht rock.
No, no, but it's just like this, like it's like
it's for you, Skip.
And I just find that like it helps me to focus, for about 30, 45 minutes. And then I come out of it for a couple minutes and then I go back into it. So
yeah, I use a Brain FM app. Same kind of thing. It just is neurologically and scientifically proven to put you in a specific mental state. Really cool.
There's some big words there, Robbie.
Yeah, that's why I'm on the team.
So step 7 is execute and make mistakes. Execute and make mistakes. Like execute. Like I know this one is obvious, but it's also what most people fail to do. Like all these other tips are basically useless if you don't take action. If you don't just if you don't just put in the work. And I mean, like you need to build the habit of being present and taking action. Now, from a psychological standpoint on that, one of the biggest things that we hear from people is one of the biggest reasons why people don't take action is they don't think it's going to mean anything. They don't think they're good enough. Like, stop wondering if you're good enough, because you are. They're like, there's nothing I've ever written down in here that I wasn't capable of. It might be intimidating. There are ideas I wrote down in here, like doing a live retreat, $10,000 a person, 12 people. That's intimidating. Not going to lie. Doing that is intimidating. I can do it. So stop wondering what other people think, because the reality is, as we know, they probably aren't. They're not thinking about you. Stop putting so much pressure on yourself. Stop setting your expectations so high, because that's the fastest route to giving up. So as simplistic as it is, Nike says, just do it. Seriously, just do it. That's one of the beauties of setting up, whether it's 10 tasks or 100 tasks, doesn't matter, is that if you just look at your thing and you go, I'm going to do these 2 things today. Like if we're talking about setting up an evergreen funnel part-time, and you still have other stuff to do on your side business, but let's just look at this. And I said, and you had 100 tasks that each took 15 minutes. And your 2 tasks for today were take some pictures of yourself and crop out the backgrounds. You can do that on Canva like that. There's other services as well. And you did that. You're 1/50th of the way. And again, 50 days, you can have an evergreen, like a very complex evergreen funnel bringing in money set up. And that's just if you just do 2. If you sneak in 3, you can do it in 33 days, plus a third of another day. But like, that's what I'm like, just do it one step at a time. One tip on this here, guys, just be patient with yourself. Things take time. Things take time. Like it takes time to learn how to do Facebook ads well. You know, it takes time to learn how to set up a sales funnel. It takes time to design the homepage of your website. There's a learning curve, right? You are not going to get it right the first time around. You might not even get it right the 12th time around. But if you keep applying yourself, you will get it right. You will get better. Like no one is an overnight success. No, not me. No one. So don't expect yourself to be one either. So execute. Make mistakes. You're going to have setbacks. That's totally cool. I said I should probably be more realistic. If you do 3 a day, it'll take you 33 days. But you know what? It'll probably take you 37 because you're gonna do like I did the one day. And for the life of me, I couldn't figure out. So what I do is that when I'm just taking pictures of myself real quick, I use my watch. It's an Apple Watch. I set the camera up, open up the app, open up the watch thing on here, press the button. I have 3 seconds and I go. Okay, so now my next and I have a list and it just shows me like here are the 22 pictures Mark needs for me for the month of September. And okay, he needs me going like this. So it's press the button. I usually take like 2 or 3 of each. Press the button. There we go. Like
I add some extra ones just for fun.
Yeah.
Just
I'll change shirts. I'll do that. I'll change shirts again. I'll do that. And I'm done. Well, what I learned one day, because I came into the studio my routine was, if I'm doing a video, I take a picture for the thumbnail. You don't want to just pick a random blurry picture from your video for your thumbnail, by the way. Take an actual picture. So this particular video I was recording was it was a video in a funnel, and the message of the video was stop, watch this first. So I took a picture going, and put a little stop sign, blah, 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 right? So I go press, and I did that like 5 times. Great, got the pictures. Now it's time to record the video. I use an app. I've shared this app before. It's called I think it's called Video Teleprompter or something. It's like $8 or whatever. I use that, and what I'll do is I'll set it up on the tripod. The left quarter of the left half of the screen, the teleprompter is scrolling by, so I can see that. I'm still looking into the camera, and it kept flipping, going off after like 30 seconds, and I'm like, what is wrong with this app? I've uninstalled the app, put it back. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But lately, every time I've been doing it, since I've been recording or taking the pictures first, it's not working. And so I don't know, like I think I told Robbie one day, I was like, dude, I planned on this taking like 20 minutes. I've been at this for an hour. I can't finish this video and I'm about to go insane. Well, it turns out that I had left the watch app up on my wrist. And so anytime I would go like that, which you guys know I'm a pretty handsy talker, I tend to, move my hands around a lot when I'm talking. And so every time I would do like this movement or something, I didn't realize it was triggering it. It was trying to take a picture and it was jacking up the teleprompter app. And so I was like, I finally figured it out one day. And so, yeah, you know what? Things like that are going to happen. You just got to give yourself grace. And so, just don't try to be perfect. So again, just a couple things. Let me recap. Number 1, make sure that you're learning the right way, as we talked about earlier at the very beginning. But as far as number 1, as far as implementing, give yourself time and space after taking the notes. Go back and review them later. And step number 2 is identify which of those notes actually qualify as action items and which of them are just kind of cool. 3, identify what you can do, or maybe which ones are more for the future, or maybe even like, you know what, I can't even do that. Like that's so far into the future. That's a 5-year thing. I'm not even going to worry about it right now. 4th, learn anything else you need to learn about the topic. 5th, establish that action plan, break it down to a task level. 6th, focus on one thing at a time, one of these projects at a time. And 7th, execute, screw up, make mistakes, and have some fun with it. Give yourself that grace. Real quick, as we wrap up, guys, if you want some exclusive content from us that you're not going to get anywhere else, at least most of it, send me a text. Send me a text at 260-217-4619. 260 217-4619. If you send me that text, you're going to have access to some stuff that we're not sharing on our email list. We're not sharing on Facebook or
Not the
anywhere.
podcast,
Not on the
email.
podcast, anywhere. For those of you who are already getting our text updates, I think you are enjoying them. At least we're hearing some good things. I know Barbara, I know I've seen your name pop up a few times there. We've interacted on there. It's actually just a really cool place for us to interact too. So yes, I do read them. And as Barbara will attest, because I know for a fact that she's at least the one that I've seen on here, like I interact. So it's a way for me
I was going to say, I'm not doing anything with it. I don't think Mark is. It's all you.
Yeah, I mean, this is not Mark and Robbie, behind the scenes. Like it's like the closest connection to me that you guys can get outside of some of our exclusive communities. So text me 260-217-4619 and we'll interact there. So guys, any last thoughts as we wrap up?
Type, I want your book notes if you want those.
Oh yeah.
And read it for me because it's awesome.
Mm.
Yeah, otherwise you have to buy one from Mark for $49 and
Sure.
And it expires in a year. And
yeah, and you know what? There's only 10 of them, so the price could go up at any time. So
oh man.
Just saying.
You should do
Supply
one of
and
those
demand.
price increases actually.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
will sell you a 1-year membership for $98. That is $1 less
That
than
is
you
a
could get
good
anywhere.
deal.
But again,
That's
for
a
$99
good
you
deal.
get a year membership. So go sign up for Read It For Me and start using it, guys. All right, with that, we'll wrap up and we will see you guys next week. Take care. Bye-bye.